This man is cursed with a bizarre disease, his body a living vessel of lethal toxins that baffles every doctor. He exists on the razor's edge of death, waiting for the end, when a sudden government emergency alert pierces the silence. Disaster has struck his very location, proving that when it rains for the weak, it truly pours. Suddenly, a nightmare manifests as a monstrous creature shatters the peace, its tongue flickering like a deadly whip. In a flash of gore, a bystander is slaughtered, sending the crowd into a state of pure, primal terror. This is no dream. Death is cold and real as the beast retracts its bloody tether, triggering a frantic stampede. Many collapse from sheer fright, while others find no escape from the predatory reach of the shadow. Hassan finds himself ensnared by the monster's tongue, his desperate struggles proving futile against its grip. Seeing his sister's worried messages, a fire ignites within. He refuses to die as a pathetic victim today. Since their parents passed, she was his sole protector. If he must fall, he will go down as a hero. Driven by the hope of a legacy for her, Hassan grabs a jagged glass shard, ignoring his own flowing blood. "Come and get it, you overgrown freak!" he roars, taunting the beast into a frenzy of hunger. Insulted, the monster reels him in for a feast, but Hassan prepares a lethal surprise for its gluttony. He plunges the shard into its eye, but the beast doesn't flinch, swallowing him whole into its dark abyss. As consciousness fades in the belly of the beast, he refuses to let his story end in such a pathetic way. Suddenly, a dormant, terrifying energy erupts from his veins, shattering the monster from the inside out. Amidst a rain of viscera and monster remains, Hassan lies unconscious, the lone survivor of the carnage. He awakens later, shocked to be breathing after being devoured, his head throbbing with a newfound, heavy power. A familiar voice cuts through the ringing in his ears. His sister? Why would she be in this hellscape? He forces his broken body up, desperate to find the woman who sacrificed everything for his survival. Having seen the news, she had rushed into the danger zone, her cries for Hassan echoing through the ruins. She turns into a narrow alley, only to find a scene from the deepest pits of hell waiting for her. Monsters turn from their grisly feast, their predatory eyes locking onto her as they begin a relentless chase. Fate is cruel, as she finds her path blocked by rubble. There is nowhere left to run or hide. Drowning in despair, she closes her eyes and prays for a miracle as the shadows close in for the kill. Boom! A shockwave erupts as the lead monster is sent, flying by none other than a transformed Hassan. "Stay back, sis," he commands with cold steel in his voice. "I'm turning these freaks into scrap metal." He realizes his toxic constitution makes him immune to their venom, while his physical limits have completely vanished. To test his theory, Hassan takes a direct hit of poison, standing unfazed as the toxins simply fuel him. He begins a systematic slaughter, but his focus wavers, failing to notice a massive shadow looming behind. A giant frog monster strikes with the force of a mountain, slamming Hassan deep into a concrete wall. Dazed, he looks up to see his trembling sister standing between him and the towering, hideous titan. Though her legs shake with terror, she refuses to move, acting as a human shield for her brother. "Run, Hassan, get out of here," she screams, just as the monster's massive limb swings with lethal intent. He watches in slow motion as his only family is swatted away like a broken doll, his heart shattering. Guilt and rage collide. He was the one supposed to die, yet she sacrificed herself for a burden like him. His fury summons a manifestation of pure death. A colossal red snake erupts from his very soul. With a deafening roar, the red snake obliterates the beast, all while a mysterious figure watches from above. Impressive, she muses, to summon the scarlet serpent this early. Though he lacks true control, the carnage draws even greater threats, as a swarm of gargantuan horrors descends upon the battlefield. Hassan gently moves his dying sister to safety, his eyes burning with the intent to massacre them all. But as he prepares to unleash his soul, his body betrays him, coughing up blood from the sheer strain. The backlash of the serpent is devastating. It seems the Reaper has finally come to collect his debt. As a giant tongue descends to finish him, it is intercepted by the mysterious girl from the rooftops. "I'm 𝒓𝒅," she chirps, effortlessly tossing him to safety. "Sit tight with your sister. The pros are here." Hassan stared in awe. Her raw power was monstrous, followed by speed that defied human limits. Dodging the beast's strikes effortlessly, 𝒓𝒅 blurred, suddenly manifesting above its head like a harbinger of death. A single blow pulverized the monster, Witnessing this absolute destruction, Hai-san could only watch in stunned silence. Is she an S-rank legend? He clenched his fists, realizing if he had even half her power, his sister wouldn't have suffered. After erasing the threat, Kiri vanished, reappearing behind him. "Your sister will live," she whispered coldly. Her wounds vanished instantly. Overwhelmed with relief and gratitude, Hai-san felt a heavy weight lift from his soul. Tears streamed down his face as he thanked her. But Kiri's gaze turned sharp. "Worry about yourself, boy," she warned. "You're at death's door. But listen closely, that terminal illness of yours? It is not a curse, it is a cure. But first, let us clear this trash." Kiri stood alone, a solitary wall against a literal legion of nightmares. She unleashed her legendary ultimate, Poison Rain. A massive sphere of toxic energy pulsed in her palm. Launched skyward, the sphere stained the very heavens purple, turning the clouds into a reservoir of certain death. Corrosive droplets rained down, melting the entire horde. In one move, the battlefield became a graveyard. "You can surpass me," she promised. "You will become the strongest hunter this world has ever seen." Training began. But Kiri's poison needles were not just needles, they were instruments of pure, agonizing torture. His screams echoed through the ruins. Kiri smirked, mocking his weakness. "Don't tell me you are this fragile." She was force-feeding him abyssal energy, yet the clueless rookie had no idea what was happening to him. "Behold the path of the Venom kin," she explained. Once, they were the most feared class in history. Betrayed and branded as traitors to humanity, the legendary poison users were erased from the history books. "I am one of those infamous villains," she grinned. "Our power comes from an awakening that defies logic. While normal hunters have a 1% failure rate, for us, awakening usually means a painful death. We live with lethal toxins inside us. Eventually, the poison becomes a tide that consumes the host's body." Hai-san froze. That was exactly his condition. Kiri burst out laughing at his sudden realization. "Bingo! Your agony is just the signal of your awakening. Welcome to the fold, poison user." She slammed a treatment needle into him. A poison user's regeneration speed is nothing short of a miracle. Whether eating, sleeping, or talking, our bodies are constantly rebuilding themselves at a cellular level. We do not cure the poison, we refine it. That purified toxin becomes our ultimate fuel, black ether. To show off her power, Kiri launched herself across the city skyline, leaping between skyscrapers like a god. "Is she even human?" Hai-san gaped. An hour passed, and she was still performing high-altitude acrobatics. "Is she just flexing now?" he wondered. Suddenly, she landed, staring at him with a wild intensity. "Your turn," she commanded. But Hai-san hesitated, haunted by years of being mocked and labeled a loser. To break his trauma, Kiri grabbed the orphan weakling and hurled him straight off the roof. "Is she insane?" he screamed. "Good luck. Succeed or splat," she yelled back with a sadistic grin. "Focus the ether in your feet and jump." Hai-san channeled every ounce of will into his legs. He kicked away his past. "I am done being a nobody. Watch me become the strongest." Boom! He soared across the gap. But there was one problem. He had zero idea how to land. Kiri caught him midair. Hai-san burst into tears. But these were not tears of shame, they were tears of joy. He was not a failure anymore. That night, Kiri's expression darkened. Something was very, very wrong. Her eye literally fell out. "Save me," he panicked. But it was not blood, it was a high-tech device. An interface flickered to life. This piece of gear was light years ahead of anything on the market. Even the prestigious Glory Guild had never seen technology this advanced. It was a masterpiece of design. "It is just a common lens," she lied. Suddenly, her face went pale. An urgent message had arrived. Hunters were closing in on her location. To stay any longer meant certain death for them both. "Find Dr. Jean," she commanded. "He is a genius and my partner. He will guide you through the next stage." Handing him a final parting gift, a shimmering poison orb, she prepared to vanish into the night. "I will help you," he cried, but she cut him off. "You are too weak. Grow stronger first. To protect the weak, one must become a god-tier monster." Halcyon swore a blood oath to her. He will be the strongest, right after her. But she vanished, leaving him drowning in despair. News broke of mass disappearances in the Gebang slums. Media outlets turned their blades toward the Glory Guild. Those elites only protect the rich in Gupa, while leaving the poor to rot in Gebang's filth. The internet exploded with rage at the injustice. Yet, in days, the critics fell silent. 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉 ignored the cowards. Returning to the fray, he held a massive core, a treasure of power, yet its secrets remained locked away. As he tinkered, his body suddenly began devouring the core. System alert. Black core integration initiated. Dark ether production reached 100%. A dormant power surged through his veins like wildfire. His ether capacity skyrocketed from 1,000 to 1,500. 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉 felt his muscles hardening with divine strength. His internal stats flashed. Physicality now rivals an E-rank knight. But this was only the beginning of his awakening. Can I truly reach S rank? He wondered. Suddenly, a heated commotion nearby broke his focus. A desperate mother begged for medical aid for her son. But Glory Guild thugs blocked her path with cold indifference. Their leader sneered, barking insults at the woman. Who's responsible if you infect the elites? You peasant? You filthy beggars think our pity gives you rights? The thug's arrogance was suffocating the terrified crowd. Run while you can, a voice boomed from the shadows. Or do you plan to keep acting like kings? It was 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉. The thug turned, face twisted in rage. Do you have a death wish, kid? I don't care who you are. 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉 spat back. I only know you're about to taste the dirt. The thug swung a heavy baton with lethal intent. But 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉 caught it as if it were a toy. With a sickening crunch, he crushed the steel like glass. Then, a single blow sent the thug flying into oblivion. Even 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉 was shocked by his own devastating power. One punch was all it took to erase the trash. Following Kiri's lead, he entered a secluded phone booth. He lifted the receiver, and the floor suddenly dropped. A high-speed secret elevator plunged into the depths. He landed with a thud, thankfully. His body was now steel. He sought Dr. Jin, the man Kiri told him about. But looking down, 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉 saw his hands stained with blood. Alarm! Intruder detected! The facility's defense system roared. Lethal gas flooded the corridor to choke the life out of him. But 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉 didn't flinch. He inhaled the poison like fresh air. To a monster like him, it tasted like a tonic. Footsteps approached. Thinking it was a foe, he lunged. But the stranger collapsed before the strike even landed. It was a frail man. After waking, 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉 explained Kiri sent him. Yet, 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉 kept him bound until his identity was proven. Once confirmed as Dr. Jin, the chains came off. The doctor began to tell a tale of a fallen genius. I was once a renowned scientist, helping the world, Jin sighed. I endured the hardship because the work gave me purpose. But greed followed me. Assassins from every nation hunted my mind. Organizations and underground syndicates wanted me dead or enslaved. Even the Hunter Association joined the chase. I fought to survive, but the world felt like a cage of killers. I realized I couldn't trust a single soul on this earth. That was the day I chose to disappear into the shadows. Paranoia became my only friend in this silence. I hid here, away from the betrayal of humanity. He recalled meeting Kiri. She was poisoned, just like 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉. She was the only person Jin ever truly trusted again. Looking at 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉, Jin's eyes turned serious. A single drop of your blood could kill an A-rank hunter. You are a living chemical weapon, a poison human. 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉 stood frozen, realizing the terrifying weight of his power. Power without control is just a disaster waiting to happen. Jin warned him that he would become a walking plague. To survive, 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉 had to master the poison within. Deep beneath the base, a secret training hall awaited. Those scars prove your leaking power, Jin noted. Train with me, and they will vanish as you master yourself. Jin had forged Kiri into a warrior. He would do the same. You won't recognize the man you become, he promised. Thus, 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉's hellish training regimen officially began. The quiet Dr. Jin transformed into a demonic instructor. He barked orders and pushed 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉 to the absolute brink. While 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉's body screamed in agony, his muscles evolved. 7 days passed in that chamber of pain and ether. The weakling was dying, and a war god was being born. Vu's strict guidance became relentless. Though completely exhausted, he pushed past his limits in this hellish training. His physique was finally changing. 7 days into his isolation, the high-level ether training was about to begin. Jin's experiments worked wonders. Duin unmasked at last, showing his total trust. His youthful sharpness had faded. Meanwhile, Hessen's sister finally woke up. She panicked, finding him gone, and scolded him relentlessly. Jin gave a gift. It was a divine upgrade to Kiri's device, crafted in just 3 days. 𝑳𝒐𝒅's burn scars were vanishing. His legendary handsome looks were finally returning. Chiseled muscles appeared after 7 days of hell. His progress was terrifyingly fast. Ether levels surged through meditation, but curiosity regarding the doctor's solitude remained. "Don't you get lonely here?" Hassan asked. Jin just pointed at his shoulder. "Meet Pori." 𝒂𝒐 nearly jumped out of his skin in pure shock. Pori was a legendary poison beast harmless to humans, but incredibly intelligent. This creature was a living sponge, absorbing every drop of its master's toxins. It had been clinging to 𝒂𝒐 for 2 days. It looked so innocent. Pori possessed rare invisibility, but there was no time for rest now. Jin pushed him back into training. Meanwhile, the Glory Guild headquarters stirred. Their icon, Maria, was a saintly healer who mourned every single lost life. She was an angel serving Chairman Gogun, a cold-hearted and ruthless tyrant. Hassan trained like a demon, vowing to become a world-class healer soon. He wanted to save others like Kiri did. But the chairman had schemes. To Gogun, lives were trash, but elite hunters were his most precious tools. Training finally ended. Pori joined 𝒂𝒐, eager for the carnage to begin. Returning home, his sister nearly strangled him in a fit of sisterly rage. 𝒂𝒐 confessed everything. Yet, she remained wary of the dangerous hunter world. "Nothing is free in this life, Hassan. Be careful of those high rankers." Ultimately, she supported his dream. 𝒂𝒐 felt a surge of pure happiness. He swore to become the greatest war god, honoring those who believed. But the 50 million won exam fee made her suggest factory work instead. "I have a plan," he claimed. She didn't believe a single word. The next day, he entered the poison dungeon to grind for massive wealth. A forbidden black hole where no ordinary human dared to set foot. Inside, the world shifted. It felt like entering a high-stakes survival game. Lethal toxins filled the air. Normal hunters wouldn't last a second here. A 2-star Komodo beast appeared, its dangerous D-variant rank signaling true peril. Its threat came from deadly venom, not just its massive physical strength. Hassan knew he was stronger, but his body was paralyzed by fear. Trauma from the black toad gripped his heart. He couldn't even move. Pori snapped him awake just as 3 massive monsters closed in fast. Jin's cube activated. It pulsed with power, waiting for Hassan's divine command. It reacts to ether, shifting into any weapon the user can imagine. The genius's masterpiece transformed into a wicked, shimmering dagger of death. The hunt began. He unleashed poison rain, a strike of absolute lethality. Monsters were sliced in 2. The shockwave even leveled the surrounding forest. He absorbed their poison cores, feeling his aether reserves swell with power. "Too easy," he laughed. This dungeon was now his personal all-you-can-eat buffet. He slaughtered 50 beasts with ease, his thirst for power becoming insatiable. With 300 aether gained, 𝒂𝒐's path to absolute domination had begun. One tiny scratch and it's game over. This is a total cheat code. 𝒂𝒐 knew he'd grow powerful fast. Imagining himself surpassing Kiri made him grin like a maniac. He quickly pulled up his status window to check. Ether, 1627. Physical, E rank. Healing, S rank. 𝒂𝒐 started gloating, his ego reaching new heights. S rank healing was practically god tier. "I'm actually a genius," he bragged. But suddenly, a bone-chilling shiver erupted from the forest depths. This beast was on a completely different level. A corrupted hyena, a physical manifestation of pure poison. Physical, C rank. Threat, B rank. 𝒂𝒐's body trembled uncontrollably. The system issued a dire warning: target is too powerful. His poison was superior, but his body was too fragile. One wrong move, and he'd be dead, before even landing a hit. Even Pori was shaking with fear. 𝒂𝒐 ordered the little guy to hide. This was solo time. He needed to stay calm and analyze the boss. Suddenly, with godlike speed, the monster vanished and reappeared. Right behind him, a sharp claw ripped through his right arm before he could react. Cold death was knocking at his door. But 𝒂𝒐 wasn't going down without a fight. He noticed the boss was just sitting there, wearing a mocking smirk. It was waiting for the toxin to spread. That arrogance would be its downfall. 𝒂𝒐 decided to taunt the beast and drain its stamina using his S-rank healing. Poison and recovery are 2 sides of the same coin, after all. For a poison user, Healing is the ultimate survival tool to purge toxins. But He-sun had a much crazier plan in mind. By stabilizing his internal flow, he allowed both forces to coexist. Thanks to Dr. Jin's advanced circulation device, his shredded arm knit back together in seconds. With renewed confidence, he roared, "Let's start round 2, you monster." Man and beast collided in a frantic dance of death. Despite the massive gap in power, He-sun refused to back down. He took hit after hit, surviving only through his broken recovery skill. Yet, the boss showed no signs of slowing down. An hour of brutal combat passed. He-sun's muscles screamed in agony as he endured a relentless storm of attacks. The boss's condescending gaze burned more than the wounds. It was mocking his weakness. That was the final straw. It struck from every angle with blinding speed. He-sun could only focus on healing, waiting for that one moment of exhaustion. Suddenly, a system notification flashed. By battling a superior foe, the hidden potential within his veins began to boil. His black ether transformed into pure firepower. The requirements were met, his physical stats finally evolved to D rank. His reflexes and strength surged instantly. Still, the C-rank boss held the advantage. He-sun had to gamble everything now. He abandoned all defense, funneling every drop of ether away from his vitals and down into his legs for explosive speed. Boom! The ground shattered as he vanished. In a flash of steel, his sword carved through the monster's throat. Victory at last! But as the adrenaline faded, he looked at his ruined clothes. Oh no. Sister is going to kill me. A few days later, he was back in the poison dungeon, currently being chased by a giant spider. Talk about bad luck. After the previous boss fight, he had to walk home in rags, becoming the laughingstock of the entire neighborhood. Even the woman he saved recognized him. Embarrassed, he played dumb. "You've got the wrong guy, lady. I'm just a passerby. Don't just claim handsome, muscular men as friends," he joked. But the real nightmare started when he finally got home. His sister beat him senseless for wandering around shirtless. He swore he felt his spine crack under her terrifying wrath. That's why he's running from this spider now. It's not because it's strong, he just doesn't want monster guts on his shirt. The spider kicked him into a wall, but fate was on his side. Right there was the legendary bronze sunflower. This rare plant was his true target. Its color shifts based on dungeon difficulty: gold, silver, and today's prize, bronze. A single bloom is worth at least 10 million won. If the quality is peak, it can fetch 50 million. Its price is sky high because it possesses the healing power of an S-rank priest, a literal fortune growing in the dirt. But these flowers only grow in toxic death zones, usually right next to a dangerous boss's lair. High risk, high reward. This spider is weak, but if it dies, the flower dies too. Luckily, He-sun's weapon, 𝒓𝒂𝒔𝒉, had a secret feature. He activated zero-kill mode. The blade turned from ominous black to a pure, shimmering white. This was its second form. Designed for crowd control, it induces paralysis or instant sleep. Even He-sun had to admit Dr. Jin was a genius. Time to harvest. He-sun blurred into motion, launching a lightning-fast, non-lethal strike against the massive arachnid. The spider collapsed into a deep slumber instantly. Not bad. Now, the real prize awaited. He-sun's eyes gleamed with greed. He reached for the bronze sunflower, but Pori suddenly popped out, thinking it was snack time. The little glutton was hopeful. Upon realizing it wasn't edible, Pori's mood crashed. "You greedy human, give me real food." Then, they headed out. In the shadow of the black market, thugs lurked like wolves eyeing their next prey. In this lawless wasteland, strength is the only currency and betrayal is just a heartbeat away. High rankers rule this jungle. If these trash hunters had my gear, they wouldn't be so pathetic. He-sun checked a shop's device, a piece of junk compared to Dr. Zin's gift, yet overpriced. Shocked by the 20 million won price tag, he realized he was carrying a literal fortune. Thinking only a fool would buy such garbage, a sucker appeared instantly, praising the cheap price. While hunting for sunflowers, a girl's desperate scream echoed. Pori had clamped onto her hand. As He-sun rushed to help, the girl snatched his sunflower bag and vanished instantly. Realizing he'd been played, rage boiled. He ignited his rocket speed to hunt her down. The redhead thought she'd escaped in the alleys, but her victory was short-lived. He-sun materialized before her like a ghost, thanks to Pori's unerring tracking instincts. Before returning the goods, the redhead, Bisu, proposed a deal using her local knowledge. I know secret paths no ordinary person could find. I will lead you to the source. Sunflowers are strictly regulated, making any deal illegal, but she knew the black market routes. When she demanded a 60-40 split, 𝑗 unleashed a chilling, overwhelming aura. I was going to be merciful, but maybe I should just end you here instead. The girl screamed shamelessly, claiming he'd never find her if she truly intended to hide. She didn't notice the growing pain from Pori's bite. Though the poison was weak, she was terrified. He bluffed, claiming the venom could drop an S-rank hunter. Her face turned pale with fear. As Pori acted like a demonic beast, 𝑗 summoned illusory chains that radiated lethal power. Trembling, the girl fell to her knees, begging for mercy under his suffocating pressure. Meet 𝑳𝒐𝒓𝒅, the child of the black market, now forced to be his unwilling guide. She led him to the godfather, the strongest man here who happened to be her father. 𝑗 wanted a quick trade, but the old man unleashed a predatory hyena to test him. The godfather wanted to see if the boy truly took down the boss for those flowers. Expecting the boy to flee, the old man watched in shock as his beast fell instantly. A mad laugh erupted. His daughter had finally brought home someone truly interesting. Suddenly, a wave of terrifying bloodlust exploded, cutting 𝑗 cheek with pure killing intent. As 𝑳𝒐𝒓𝒅 was blown away by the pressure, 𝑗 wondered how deep this man's power went. When offered 60 million won, the godfather suddenly looked like a generous, noble gentleman. Overjoyed, 𝑗 even asked to call him father, leaving the old man utterly speechless. Clutching the fortune, he nearly forgot 𝑳𝒐𝒓𝒅. With a snap, her wounds began to vanish. He confessed there was never any poison, leaving the girl fuming at his blatant deception. She swung a punch in rage, but he dodged effortlessly as she swore future revenge. As he left, the godfather noticed 𝑗 blood. It felt identical to a legendary monster. The next day, his sister worked her magic, transforming him into a top-tier heartthrob. With perfectly styled hair and a sharp suit, he looked like a young noble. Was this much elegance really necessary just to register at the Hunter Association? Two arrogant hunters mocked him, questioning why the chairman wasted money on such weaklings. 𝑗 maintained a cold facade, but inside, his rage was reaching its boiling point. He memorized their faces' big nose and long face, vowing never to save them in battle. At the registration desk, the receptionist's eyes were filled with blatant disgust for him. But when a handsome candidate approached, she instantly switched to a fawning, respectful attitude. The newcomer, 𝑗 mocked the idea of such trash becoming healers alongside them. Popular and pretty, 𝑗 basked in the attention. 𝑗 stepped out into the chaos. A mother stands alone, clutching a sign for justice. She has lost everything in the ruins of 𝒂𝒑𝒔𝒉. For 3 days she has endured, ignoring every warning. Her body is weak, but her spirit refuses to break. Suddenly, a trashy E-rank hunter from the association arrives. He sneers, threatening the fragile woman with violence. "I warned you to clear out," he roars. He raises a fist, ready to crush a defenseless civilian. But his fist is caught in a vice grip. 𝑗 stands there, his gaze freezing the bully's blood. "An association hunter using strength against the weak?" 𝑗 asks. The bully cowers, claiming he is doing his duty. Duty? That's pure garbage. The hunter erupts in golden flames, desperate to reclaim his pride. In a flash, 𝑗 strikes. One devastating blow sends the loud-mouthed weakling crashing into the dirt. The hunter trembles in rage, but he's all bark and no bite. 𝑗 mocks his pathetic skills. Tearing the badge away, 𝑗 growls, "If you represent the association, protect the people first, you fool." This clash draws a powerful gaze. Chairman Go, leader of the Glory Association, has witnessed everything. He steps forward, questioning if 𝑗 intends to start a riot. Beside him stands the S-rank healer, Maria. As Go blathers about laws and crimes, 𝑗 cuts him off. "Stop the nonsense. It's tiring to listen to." The chairman's face turns purple with fury. He tries to frame 𝑗 for attacking his subordinate first. Maria looks on with growing concern. Sensing the shift, the chairman quickly fakes an apology to save face. But 𝑗 isn't finished. He demands to know why the association ignored the slaughter at 𝒂𝒑𝒔𝒉. "You could have saved them," 𝑗 whispers, his voice dripping with the weight of the fallen. He points at the pristine skyscrapers. These buildings are clean, while the streets of 𝒂𝒑𝒔𝒉 run red with blood. His aura shifts, turning dark and sharp. He demands answers for the association's cowardice and neglect. Dr. Jean's words haunt him. If the Glory Association had acted, half those victims would still be alive. Why did they abandon those lives? The chairman stands silent, his excuses dying in his throat. How childish, Go finally sneers. You act on petty emotions instead of cold logic. Your vision is narrow. He tells his son that passion is useless without status. He demands respect for his high position. Suddenly, a crushing pressure fills the air. The chairman releases his S-rank aura as a deadly warning. Most would tremble, but his son doesn't blink. He scoffs at the #1 knight of Korea. Go can't handle the disrespect. His power surges, trying to force his son to his knees. You want to fight? Let's go, his son shouts. He will never bow to a hypocrite like Go. Nearby, the vain John is busy flirting, asking strangers for an autograph as if he's a superstar. But they don't even know his name. Their eyes are glued to the monstrous clash of power nearby. Back at the standoff, the air is thick with killing intent. The chairman demands a formal apology. I'd love to apologize, his son smirks, but my middle finger refuses to cooperate. Too bad. Go snaps, ready to kill. But Maria interjects. She claims the chairman is merely testing the young candidate. She warns that a public fight would ruin the association's image. A crowd has already gathered to watch. Like a true snake, the chairman shifts gears instantly. He smiles and pats his son's shoulder like an old friend. The fake warmth makes his son feel sick. This old man is a master of lies and deception. Go leans in, whispering a dark promise. We will meet again soon. His son holds back a punch. Before leaving, his son leaves one final sting. Your hollow apologies won't bring back the dead you abandoned. As he walks away, Maria asks for his class. Their jaws drop when they see his registration. A healer? This monster is registered as a support class. His son heads home, feeling a bitter defeat. He knew Maria would stop the blow, yet the chairman's aura felt like an unshakable mountain. Reaching home, he finds 𝒑𝒑 waiting for him. Without a word, he kicks her out into the wind. She cries about just wanting to visit, but his son sees right through her master's hidden agenda. Tell him if he approaches me like this again, we are done, his son warns, his temper flaring. He knows his value to the old man. If they want a relationship, they must respect his boundaries. But as he steps inside, his sister greets him with a flying strike that sends him soaring. It felt like a meeting with death. 𝒑𝒑 was absolutely fuming because his son had kicked the redhead out. 𝒑𝒑 rushed to her sister's side, sobbing in despair, while Hisan stood there, cold and indifferent as ice. Moments later, the duo headed out. Hisan finally voiced his dark suspicion. He did not trust that man, 𝒑𝒑. 𝒑𝒑 is a master merchant, but he is drowning in secrets. His past and true goals remain a total mystery. What if he planted a lethal trap on you? Can you truly guarantee your sister's safety under his twisted shadow? 𝒑𝒑 snapped back, claiming her father only wanted to be a powerful ally. That is why she was sent. Hisan smirked, cutting through the lies. He sent you to spy on me, didn't he? The truth stunned her. Stupefied, she wondered how he knew. It was logic. Sunflower supply was dropping while demand remained sky-high. The association was tightening its grip, yet someone suddenly appears with rare sunflowers? The timing was far too perfect. Did you think I was that easy to fool? Hisan mocked. 𝒑𝒑 finally confessed her dark connection to 𝒑𝒑. They are not blood-related. 𝒑𝒑 was just a discarded orphan, a stray picked up from the black market depths. When she was sold, 𝒑𝒑 stared her down and slashed her face, leaving a jagged scar that haunted her. Despair consumed her. She would rather die than live the rest of her life serving such a heartless monster. Yet, 𝒑𝒑's cruelty was erratic. Usually, any other dealer would be dead, but he actually let Hisan live. It seems he actually likes you, she noted. Soon, they reached a black hole, a dungeon hiding silver sunflowers. Great treasure comes with lethal stakes. The beasts within were nightmares, but Hisan was ready to risk it. Hisan and 𝒑𝒑 plunged into the abyss. Inside the toxic labyrinth, a brand new world of danger awaited. 𝒑𝒑 frantically searched for her secret weapon, a purple essence designed to lure the most ravenous monsters nearby. The plan was simple. Set traps, pour the lure, and let the beasts walk into their own funeral pyre. But Hisan ignored the plan. He recklessly poured the entire bottle on himself, becoming the ultimate living bait. 𝒑𝒑 stood frozen. Are you insane? He-san just gave a cold glare. I will kill them all. Watch. She tossed him an antidote pill. It only lasted 3 hours, a ticking clock between life and a painful death. She did not realize He-san was a god. He did not need medicine to survive in this hellish place. The bait worked too well. The ground trembled as a massive tide of monsters emerged, hungering for his flesh. At least 200 Jin monsters swarmed them. Luckily, these were only E rank, 1-star pests, mere fodder. He-san stopped in a clearing and unleashed his secret art. Cross, slash. Blade flashes cut the dark air. With blinding speed, the monsters were butchered. Each kill fueled He-san's growth, pushing his level higher and higher. The hunters had become the prey. He-san chased them down until they retreated in absolute, soul-crushing terror. One scratch from his blade meant instant death. The power of his skill was overwhelming, leaving nothing but dust. He did not even break a sweat. These low-level trash mobs were nothing compared to his divine strength. After the slaughter, his ether count hit 2,332. His soul step skill reached level 2. He looked ahead to find a massive desert. It was a bizarre contrast to the lush forest they left. As he entered the dunes, something massive exploded. A thunderous shockwave rocked the very earth beneath his feet. It was the dungeon boss, a colossal centipede. Physical rank B, poison rank A, and 4-star difficulty level. This was no ordinary bug. He-san launched a flurry of attacks, but his blades bounced off its shell. Every strike was useless. Worse, the beast's jagged horns were coated in lethal venom, ready to impale him instantly. The shifting sand crippled his speed. His soul step skill's power was cut in half in this treacherous terrain. Amidst the chaos, He-san spotted it. The silver sunflower. But the guardian stood in his way, nearly invincible. He tried to move, but the sand swallowed his feet. The centipede struck, sending He-san flying like a ragdoll. The impact was devastating. It felt like every bone in his body had been shattered by a mountain's weight. He instantly triggered his healing skill to mend the damage. But the situation remained a desperate, bloody stalemate. Just as despair loomed, his gear evolved. His boots transformed, allowing him to stand firmly upon the shifting sand. Now, his soul step was unstoppable. He moved like a blur, outrunning the boss with godlike speed. He danced around the beast's strikes, seizing the moment to pluck the silver sunflower right under its nose. Finally, he summoned the white dream. The weapon began to shift, taking the form of his deadliest killing intent. Transforming into a massive drill, his heavy strike shattered the boss's ultimate defense with a thunderous roar. The beast collapsed into a coma. Returning, he found Bisu had waited 7 hours, eyes burning with resentment. She wanted to vent her rage through a beating, but her body was reaching its limit from corruption. With a simple, precise gesture, he purified every drop of lethal toxin from her veins just like before. They returned with the spoils. 2 months had passed since the giant centipede fell to his newfound strength. Bisu briefed me on 15 poison dungeons while I harvested 1 silver and 5 bronze sunflowers for power. Staring at the mountain of gold before us, I felt the purest joy of this legendary new life. Bisu and I grew closer over ramen, now upgraded with cheese slices, a luxury for the formerly hungry duo. But the time for Bisu's departure arrived. She and his sister shared a tearful, heart-wrenching farewell at dawn. Sister called this Bisu's second home. Soon, Hasun and Bisu headed to the black market for trade. They encountered a thug causing chaos, but the legendary protection captain stepped in to end the noise. The troublemaker was a dangerous rank B knight, yet the captain blocked his strike with terrifying, effortless ease. The knight was brutally humbled but refused to yield, triggering his ultimate berserk skill in a desperate rage. His aura exploded with bloodlust, his killing intent becoming a suffocating fog that chilled the very air around. At maximum rage, the knight launched a frenzied assault, yet he couldn't even graze the captain's shadow. Moving like a ghost, the captain appeared behind him. The knight swung wildly, only to punch his own. It was a pathetic sight. The old man's hidden techniques were clearly on a divine, unmatchable level. No matter how many times the knight struck, he couldn't touch him. The old man's speed was god tier. 3 after-images appeared as the knight was crushed instantly. The captain hadn't even broken a single sweat. This old man is a monster. His physical prowess rivals a high knight, yet his aura feels supernatural. Ha-sun carefully scanned his data, only to find something that made his heart nearly stop in shock. How could an E-rank weakling crush an A-rank knight so easily? The system's logic was shattered. The old man's sudden greeting made Ha-sun scream in terror, a slightly embarrassing moment for our hero. He led Ha-sun to the Godfather. The total profit? 750 million won. Wealth has arrived. Ha-sun hugged his suitcase like a sacred treasure, thinking the deal was done. But he wanted more. He demanded an information fee from the Godfather. The old man's eyes flared with a dangerous, icy irritation. Using sharp wit, Ha-sun negotiated. He didn't want more money. He wanted the captain's forbidden combat arts. The Godfather's face twisted into a sinister grin, weighing the value of such a soul-crushing request. That price is unfair, boy. Even your 750 million won isn't enough to buy his secrets. Ha-sun didn't flinch, vowing to learn it even if he had to fall into lifelong debt. Bisu warned him of the danger the Godfather crushes debtors, but Ha-sun's eyes remained fixed and determined. It was a lethal gamble. Ha-sun realized that poison alone wouldn't make him the invincible war god. Most hunters rely on awakened stats, but the movements of Ojiho were rare and incredibly deadly. Though Ojiho was technically a rank E, his combat mastery existed outside the boundaries of any rank. His martial arts were too dangerous to be rated. Ha-sun would sacrifice everything to master that power. He slammed the suitcase of 750 million won onto the table, going all in on fate. The Godfather accepted, but not for the cash. He would set a higher price after the training ends. Next, Ha-sun must face the annual Hunter exam, a prestigious trial with notoriously brutal evaluation standards. Becoming a licensed hunter brings more fame and public adoration than being a top-tier global superstar. The entire nation was gripped by fever as the legendary selection event drew the eyes of millions. Amidst the heated debates and soaring expectations, the grand trial of the new year finally began today. The handsome Jo-won captured every female gaze, with many predicting he would become the next high-rank legend. Meanwhile, Ha-sun arrived at the registration. His glow-up was so intense, he looked like a divine god. Girls gasped as his new, sharpened visuals outshone everyone. He was a complete contrast to his former self. As Jo-won posed arrogantly for the cameras, Ha-sun walked forward, colliding directly with the star's ego. Two arrogant elites stood there striking poses, but something felt incredibly off. Hae-san originally intended to pay for their laundry, but this trash smashed his phone, feigning an accident while mocking him with fake repair money. He leaned in, whispering poison. "This is my day. Don't try to leech my fame. Did you find those rags in a charity bin?" The snake then wore a mask of politeness. Hae-san's patience finally snapped under the weight of this blatant disrespect. Grabbing the coward's collar, Hae-san roared, "Apologize. My sister crafted these clothes with her soul, you absolute scum. Say sorry before I bury you." As tensions peaked, the speakers blared, the awakening test was officially beginning. The golden-haired brat proposed a reckless wager, betting on who would achieve the absolute highest score. The stakes were set at 10 million won. "If you somehow win, I'll give you the cash and an apology," he smirked. He thought Hae-san was trembling, unaware that every word of his arrogance was being recorded as cold evidence. From the balcony, Maria watched in shock. That blonde boy was now a B-rank healer? He was barely rank E before. Something was foul. Rumors whispered of illegal lab experiments. How else could his power surge so unnaturally in months? After those shady research visits, John's power levels had exploded. Maria vowed to uncover the dark truth behind his growth. The moment of truth arrived for John and Hae-san. They stepped toward the measuring devices as the crowd watched, breathless. Everyone prayed for a miracle, while John simmered in his own ego, prepared to show the world true dominance. "I'll show you the devastating gap between us," John thought, placing his hand upon the crystal sphere. Suddenly, a brilliant gold aura erupted, blinding the spectators. The proctor shouted the impossible results. Candidate John passed with a staggering score of 9,103. A true prodigy was born. He turned to Hae-san with a sneer. "You must be drowning in despair, loser. It's far too late to run now." Hae-san remained a pillar of silence, ignoring the barking dog. He stepped toward the testing sphere with calm resolve. The moment Hae-san's palm touched the machine, a divine gold radiance engulfed the entire hall, shattering everyone's reality. The measurement was so colossal that the standard device groaned and malfunctioned. This power was beyond comprehension. The blonde brat laughed like a maniac, thinking the machine failed because Hae-san was too weak. "You're so pathetic the machine can't even find a spark," He cackled, even as the association's top judges rushed in. Chief Judge Pai Hik and Judge Gang Zoon arrived, eyes wide. They realized the equipment simply couldn't contain Haesan's soul. They brought forth the legendary Golden Core, a high-tier tester reserved only for the most catastrophic threats. This device was meant for 7-star bosses. Its value was astronomical, and its judgment was absolute. Only one legendary hunter had ever been tested by this core, and those results remained a classified secret. Today, a second legend would be etched into history. The head judge finally announced the soul-shaking score. 100,000. The crowd erupted in a frenzy. A brand-new S-rank hunter had just descended upon them. Reporters swarmed like locusts, thrusting microphones into Haesan's face. The sudden fame was nothing but an annoyance. To escape the suffocating mob, Haesan used a high-level movement technique, vanishing in the blink of an eye. He reappeared instantly before the blonde coward. It was time to settle the debt and finish the wager. John's fists bled from pure rage as he was forced to bow and apologize. Haesan coldly demanded his 10 million won. The humiliation was absolute. John vowed to murder Haesan, while the reporters cornered our hero once again. From a hidden corner, two powerful figures watched. Vice Chairman Ga Han-chan and President Ga Yun-chan. They realized the truth: 100,000 wasn't his actual score. It was merely the maximum the machine could show. He is an infinite S-rank, they whispered. They couldn't afford to lose such a godlike talent to a rival guild. Meanwhile, John stared in disbelief. He thought Haesan was a mere worm he could crush under his boot. But the worm had transformed into a divine dragon. Now, the second trial began, a practical test of true healing. Candidates had to mend the wounds of ferocious monsters. This would separate the frauds from the true masters. If a candidate could fully restore a beast, they would pass. Success meant entry into the elite world of hunters. Naturally, Haesan was assigned a monster far more terrifying and colossal than anyone else's. "This thing looks deadlier than a high-rank boss," Haesan muttered. It was unlike any beast he had ever seen. As he pondered how to heal the legendary white tiger, the beast's eyes snapped open and it spoke. "You," the tiger growled. "You are the one who shattered my mana core. You intend to finish me? I will save you, even if I have to defy fate." The monster's core was completely shattered, but Haesan unleashed a blinding golden light. This wasn't the skill of a rookie. It was divine healing energy. Even the white tiger pleaded with him. "Stop. You'll kill yourself. If you keep this up, you'll die." But Haesan didn't give a damn. He had a test to pass. In an instant, the miracle began. He didn't just close the wounds. He secretly left a parting gift, silently severing the internal chains that bound the creature's soul. "When the time comes, run for it." Even the mighty beast was stunned. "I've never met a fool quite like you," it whispered. "But I choose to trust you." After all those years of suffering, Haesan was only the second human to ever earn its faith. "I am no mere monster. I am a guardian spirit," it declared. "The protector of the great spirit, realm." Its voice carried an overwhelming pressure. This was the legendary mighty tiger. Then, the spirit asked for his name. "I am Haesan, the man who will become the ultimate hunter." The tiger smirked at his audacity and pledged half its life force. But the epic moment was ruined when Haesan called it Big Kitty. The spirit fumed in rage. "I am not big. I'm compact." The test finally came to an end. Haesan had passed with flying colors. Meanwhile, the arrogant John was still pathetic and struggling. Time ran out on John's failure. Desperate, he tried to play the daddy card, threatening everyone with his family's high status. But he got absolutely nothing. Gangun shut the brat down instantly. John barely scraped by with the lowest possible passing grade. Haesan couldn't help but taunt him. "Are you stupid? You couldn't even heal a tiny kitten?" He laughed in John's face. Haesan's mockery sent John into a murderous rage. Veins popped on his forehead as the final rankings were revealed. John's father, the VP of Glory Guild, summoned the referee in a fury. How could his precious son be ranked so disgracefully low? "Rank E? My son?" He slammed the table with a roar. But the examiner's report was a cold slap to his pride. "I heard you sabotaged him." The VP spat, eyes full of malice. "How dare you lie to me? Do you think you're safe? And what about the gold core? The one Haesan shattered into dust. Do you have any idea how much that artifact cost?" "He was just following the rules," came the calm, defiant response. The VP's face turned purple, his influence meant nothing here. While they fumed, Heesan became an overnight legend. An S-rank healer had been born, and the media was in a frenzy. Heesan held the S-rank badge, while John sat in the shadows clutching his pathetic rank E in bitter, humiliated silence. As Heesan stepped outside, a wall of cameras greeted him. Reporters screamed his name, hailing the arrival of a hero. "The successor of Maria," they cried. "The first S-rank healer in ages." They swarmed him like vultures, desperate for a single word. Trapped in the chaos, Heesan finally lost his patience. He snatched a microphone and let out a deafening roar. "Shut up," he commanded. "Listen carefully, because I'm only saying this once to be fair to everyone here. I'm S-rank, and I'm busy. No interviews." Before they could blink, he vanished into thin air using a legendary movement skill. He was ready to head home, but two figures blocked his path. Recruiters from the Bishop Guild were waiting with greedy eyes. "Join us, and we'll grant any wish." But Heesan's answer was cold. "I walk my own path. I'm a solo player." Suddenly, a heavy pressure filled the air. The president of Glory Guild appeared. He wanted the new S-rank for his own collection of pawns. A tense standoff erupted. The Bishop Guild claimed him first, but the Glory Guild's forces pushed them back with raw power. The bishops were outmatched. You don't challenge a Master Knight unless you're looking for a grave. The atmosphere turned lethal. Bishop's leader, Yon Chan, arrived another legendary S-rank. Beside him stood his silver-haired brother, radiating an aura of pure ice. They held back to protect the civilians, a sign of honor that Heesan noticed. But he wasn't interested in being anyone's lapdog. "Busan is too far," Heesan joked. "If I can work from my couch, then maybe we can talk." The recruiters were totally speechless. "Work from home? For a hunter?" Heesan laughed at their confusion. "And I'd rather die than join that trashy Glory Guild." Gugun didn't even flinch at the insult. He wore a serpent's grin. He knew that eventually Heesan would have no choice but to join. Death is a constant shadow for hunters. Every day is a gamble with fate against the nightmare creatures that crawl from the dark. But where do most hunters fall? Which dungeons claim the most souls? You might think it's the S-ranks, but the truth is different. It's not the poison-filled pits or the legendary high-level raids that harvest the most lives. The answer is much simpler. The answer: new dungeons. They appear easy on the surface, but beneath that calm exterior lies a trap for the unwary. Rookies walk in with arrogance and leave in body bags. To stop this meaningless slaughter, the association passed a special law. All new hunters must now complete 5 3-star dungeons in a group before they can even dream of taking on solo missions. It's a mandatory trial by fire, a test of teamwork and survival before they are unleashed into the true hell of high-rank gates. Even the legendary Heesan wasn't exempt from these strict rules. His journey to world domination would start as a mere apprentice. Heesan joins the party as a fresh face. The rookies immediately recognize his rising fame. The two siblings are spirit users, but two shady veterans approach. Heesan hides his power. He plays the newbie despite having cleared abyss dungeons. The frauds start acting like elites. They sneer at him. Even an S-rank healer is useless at killing monsters, they claim. They demand 1,000,000 won for protection. Heesan's eyes turn cold as he refuses. Tensions rise, and they threaten to abandon him. Heesan just gives them a blank look. The siblings actually pay the scammers. Heesan watches, analyzing these bottom-feeding parasites. These D-rankers claim experience, yet this dungeon should be a walk in the park. Something is wrong. D-rank hunters who aren't guild-affiliated usually have a dark secret. They collect small fees from newbies while promising help. It is clearly a pathetic lie. They were likely exiled from the association. Heesan follows to see their true endgame. Low-tier giant beavers appear. For veterans, these should be trivial, yet they struggle. They put on a dramatic performance. It is a calculated act from mediocre trash. They let a monster attack Heesan for not paying. He casually ends its life. He asks the rookies why they aren't hunting. They paid a fortune to be here. He urges them to fight these 1-star weaklings. Experience is the best teacher, after all. "I will heal any wound," he promises. His words ignite a fire in their hearts. They take down 2 beavers, but the bullies are furious that their authority is challenged. A house-sized boss beaver emerges. The frauds use the terror to extort more money. Another 1,000,000 won or they leave everyone to die. They are holding lives for ransom. The rookies are horrified by this blatant robbery. They try to protest the unfairness. The bullies sneer. Pay up or fight alone. They want to break Heesan's spirit. They threaten to spread rumors that a useless healer attacked them. They think he is defenseless. Without a guild, they believe Heesan is prey. They have no idea who they provoked. The boss beaver charges, but Heesan remains calm. He has seen true horror before. He realized long ago that many hunters are just trash. A crushing pressure begins to radiate. His aura explodes. He is amazed by the absolute stupidity of these two bottom feeders. Your foolishness is truly breathtaking, he mocks. The lead bully screams in a blind rage. They claim to hold all the power here. Heesan laughs at their pathetic delusions. He reveals he was personally trained by Gugun. The bullies realize they hit a wall. He disarms the attacker in a flash. Heesan moves like an invincible war god. They are paralyzed by his sheer pressure. Suddenly, the boss beaver looms behind him. Heesan kicks the beast away effortlessly. Now, he demands 2,000,000 won for their lives. The boss is enraged but unharmed. Its fury grows as the air grows heavy. Heesan uses godlike speed to vanish. He reappears directly behind the two cowards. He taunts them. He despises those who toy with the lives of the innocent. I cannot tell the difference between you and the monsters, he whispers with cold fury. The bullies tremble as the boss beaver charges. They are trapped in a nightmare. With one devastating kick, Heesan sends the massive beaver flying into the sky. The S-rank healer's strength is terrifying. He summons his legendary poison dagger with a smirk. One horizontal flash slices the boss in two. The bullies watch in absolute, soul-crushing shock. They desperately hand over 2,000,000 won. The siblings look at Heesan with pure adoration. You are our idol, they cheer. Heesan finally lets out a genuine, triumphant laugh. He returns their money, winning their eternal gratitude. Then, they hand him a mysterious card. It is the Umbrella Group. These rookies are actually the heirs to a global empire. Money is no object for them. They gave Heesan a direct line for future help. The dungeon loot. 14 low-tier mana cores. Heesan devours them in a heartbeat. His stats barely budge, but a new skill awakens. Communication with intelligent lifeforms. So that is how I spoke to the big tiger. I wonder if that rat escaped. Without toxic dungeons, black mana cores are rare. They overflow with dark, primal energy. Most hunters find them useless and lethal. Their toxicity makes them pure, concentrated poison. Scientists failed to harness this power. Its allure is high, but its danger is absolute. To the world, it is trash. But for a poison human, it is the ultimate fuel. This is why poison humans evolve so fast. Only a few dare to even touch them. Spending millions for 50% absorption, that is nothing but a total waste of wealth. For me, it is the path to godhood. Most hunters hit their limit and stop forever. It is all thanks to Dr. Jin's technology. I will surpass everyone who looked down on me. If I could just devour a golden mana core, I would shatter my invisible chains. Suddenly, the association's chief referee arrives. Heesan's fame is spreading like wildfire. I saw the news. Your first clear was impressive. I am former supervisor Pai High Kill. He has brought along the hyperactive gang gun. Heesan wonders what these titans want. Pai notices Heesan's growth is slowing. They have much to discuss over tea and snacks. They sit to discuss uncontrolled dungeons, places where no guild dares to set foot. 3 new dungeons appeared yesterday. A yellow alert has just paralyzed North America. Level 3, Severity. The world trembles as the yellow signal echoes across the globe. Gupa and Gubang districts are under threat. No casualties yet, but the gates are pulsing. A beast escaped. Remember, dungeons are the cage, but gates are the broken bars. Dungeons are homes for monsters. Normally, the shadows stay locked within their stone walls. But when they overflow, the entrance twists into a gate. The nightmare begins to bleed out. It is a monster tide. An unstoppable wave of carnage erupts from the heart of the gate. The world watches in terror. The association works in shadows to hide the true threat. They are desperate for strength. The Hunter Association is facing a catastrophic manpower shortage. Dungeons are spawning faster than hunters. They fear the day the world becomes a graveyard. Pai reveals a secret. The king tiger recovered instantly after Heesan's poison treatment. The toxins were obliterated in one strike. Heesan, you are the one we need. Your aura is immeasurable. Your healing power is a divine match for that dark energy. He wants 𝑳𝒑𝒅 to clear toxic zones. To him, it is just a leveling playground. 𝑳𝒑𝒅 is not a fool. He demands his price before stepping into death's jaws. Pi offers a golden mana core. Its energy has been acting strange lately. It stopped working after touching 𝑳𝒑𝒅's aura. They do not know he broke it. Pi gifts it to him anyway. This broken treasure might be his greatest weapon yet. Is this a test? Can 𝑳𝒑𝒅 truly devour the dark magic hidden within? He accepts. The golden core grants massive power, but absorption sits at 2%. Training begins with the black market's guardian, 𝒌𝟐. The path to power is blood-soaked. 𝒌𝟐 seems gentle, but he is a devil in disguise. A true underground monster. The training is a brutal beatdown. He crushes 𝑳𝒑𝒅 without a shred of mercy. No matter how 𝑳𝒑𝒅 strikes, he hits only air. He is being played like a toy. This is not training, it is a one-sided massacre. But this is the chance he needs. 𝒳𝒑𝒅 strikes with lightning speed. His shadow vanishes as he lunges at 𝒌𝟐. But 𝒌𝟐 is a mountain. He blocks the strike and counters with overwhelming force. Fortunately, the master glimpsed his hidden potential and granted him the path to divine movement. "I see the night spirit within you," he muttered. "The path of power is yours to claim. Resonance is everything. Through constant repetition, you shall master the secret art of the body." True knights shroud themselves in aura, but mastering even the basics usually demands 10 long years. 10 years? A mere blink for a future god. Suddenly, that annoying red-haired pest appeared again. "Why is an S-rank healer playing soldier?" she scoffed. Yet, 𝒳𝒑𝒅 sensed something far more profound. The realization hit him like lightning. This master was a rare, dual-class monster of sheer talent. Psychic traits vary by the soul, but the spiritual foundation remains the same for all warriors. This fundamental energy is simple, yet it offers infinite ways to slaughter those who stand opposition. A knight's blade is fierce, but facing a legion requires power from a completely different realm. That is the true dominance of the spirit master. Those loudmouthed fools are merely barking dogs. "I'm C rank now," the brat boasted. "But I'll buy mana cores to reach B rank instantly." He dreamt of standing beside 𝒳𝒑𝒅. "Wait for me. I'll become a legend by your side." Arrogance at its finest. The boy's constant chatter was giving our hero a massive, pounding headache. What a bothersome clown. 𝒳𝒑𝒅 hoped the guild would make this mission easier. He was wrong. The guy was a total airhead, and his guild members were nothing but delusional fanboys. They brought banners instead of blades. Suddenly, the idiot spotted a crack in the dark earth. "Treasure!" he cheered, sparks flying from his hands. He had no idea death was watching them. "Run for your lives!" the alarm screamed. This wasn't a treasure trove, it was a double dungeon. A violent tremor shattered the world. The ground gave way, dragging them into the bottomless abyss. Only the blue-haired boy remained, frozen in terror as his teammates vanished into the dark void. "Snap out of it!" 𝒳𝒑𝒅's voice cut through the panic. "We can still save them if we move." 𝒳𝒑𝒅 plunged into the shadows. Seeing his bravery, the coward finally found the strength to jump. He wouldn't let his friends die. As they fell, 𝒳𝒑𝒅 barked a command through the rushing wind. "Shield everyone!" But the range was pathetic. They were falling too fast toward their certain graves. "Fine, I'll do it myself." 𝒳𝒑𝒅 accelerated, breaking the sound barrier to catch the first fallen. A double dungeon. A first even for him. He summoned his toxic daggers as mid-air footholds. With his poison step, he blurred through the air, snatching his allies from death's very jaws. A sinister wind howled. This wasn't a normal dungeon. It was a sanctuary of pure, unfiltered malice. Landing from such a height, 𝒳𝒑𝒅 didn't even blink. The other guy stared in absolute disbelief. Since when did a mere S-rank healer possess a body tougher than a legendary war god? No time for tears. Rank B, flying monsters emerged, 4-star terrors hungry for human flesh and blood. The brat thought 𝒳𝒑𝒅 was paralyzed by fear. He couldn't have been more wrong about him. While the boy prepared a reckless solo charge, 𝒳𝒑𝒅 was already calculating the most efficient kill. The team rallied, their battle spirits ignited. It was time to show these monsters true human grit. A B-rank specialist stepped forward, his eyes glowing as he prepared to unleash his ultimate technique. Talismans flew like a swarm of hornets, detonating in a series of earth-shattering, fiery explosions. But as the smoke cleared, the monsters remained untouched. Their strongest attack hadn't left a scratch. Despair set in. A blonde hunter was struck down, her life force fading into the cold darkness. Heesan's healing light flared. "Run," she begged. "Don't throw your life away for a lost cause. Run." Heesan stepped forward, eyes cold. "The real battle is only just beginning for me." "Stop! You're just a healer," she cried. But the air around him began to tremble with power. His daggers became a blur of silver. In a heartbeat, he tore the monster's throat wide open. He wasn't falling, he was hunting. He used the monsters as stepping stones in a dance of death. Too many enemies? Heesan let out a cold smirk. Tonight, the abyss would learn to fear him. "Grant me the power of acid rain." His weapon responds, evolving into a lethal firearm. A heavy shotgun appears. "Die, you mongrels." He unleashes a hail of devastating lead. The bystanders are frozen in shock. Is this guy a hacker? But the monster's wounds won't close. Standard bullets are useless against these beasts. But these are no ordinary rounds. This shotgun fires concentrated black ether. The monsters rot and die in seconds. Heesan staggers from the drain. This power is incredible, but the cost is immense. A hidden beast lunges. His spirit energy blocks the strike just in time. No time for rest, the boss has arrived. An S-rank terror with a 6-star difficulty rating. Hope vanishes from the survivor's eyes. "I have enough ether for one last gamble," Heesan mutters. He slices his own arm, spilling blood. He rockets into the air to meet the beast. A thunderous impact shatters the air. This is the true power of a god. My blood acts as a catalyst for the black ether. The boss is poisoned and collapses into dust. The battle ends, but Heesan refuses the glory. The Enton Guild can't believe his selfless act. "Don't bother looking for me," he warns. "Tell them the Ornapan Guild did this." He hides his godlike strength to avoid the spotlight. Only a shadow can become a true legend. His humble response leaves everyone speechless. Panic ensues as they realize the hero is gone. He vanishes into the darkness, escaping the crowd. They think he gained nothing from this fight, but a secret truth remains hidden. Heesan just absorbed the core's primeval energy. Black ether surges by 250 points. He awakens a new skill. The lion's roar. He can now dominate souls with his voice. Heesan only cares about keeping his secret safe. This expedition turned out to be a goldmine. Days later, he visits the cleanup guild. Rook, the guildmaster, is drowning in cheap beer. He has a permit for a toxic dungeon but no allies. His old team abandoned him to rot. No one wants to join a dying, low-rank guild. Even his ex-lover mocks his pathetic situation. He stares at a photo of his late wife in despair. "If only I could reclaim my lost honor." Suddenly, a knock echoes through the quiet office. It's the legendary S-rank hunter, Heesan. Rook stares as if he's seen a ghost. The mysterious healer who dominates the headlines is standing here. His fame is reaching a fever pitch. Heesan ignores the beer and gets straight to business. "I hate being restricted by the big guilds. I heard your guild offers total freedom. Will you take the world's strongest rookie?" Rook thinks he's dreaming from the alcohol. He never expected a legend like Heesan to join him. They enter the toxic dungeon together. Rook is armored in a heavy hazmat suit for survival. But Heesan enters wearing nothing but light clothes. Rook thinks the kid is on a suicide mission. Even an S-rank can't survive this poison unprotected. Heesan just smiles and tells him to move forward. The toxic air feels like a refreshing buff to him. It's like a power-up coursing through his veins. The guildmaster is completely baffled. He hands Heesan a pickaxe to begin the harvest. Suddenly, a horde of monsters swarms their position. Their territory has been violated by the intruders. Rook braces for impact, but Heesan is laughing. "Look at all that free experience points." His blades flash like a storm in the dark. The demonic horses are butchered in an instant. Two beasts slip through and charge at his back. Boom! Rook crushes them with a single punch. Heesan is impressed by the old man's strength. This drunkard is a B-rank tank knight, with a secret. Why would a man this talented lead a trash guild? He must have a tragic story of his own. Rook begins to demonstrate the mining techniques. But Heesan's gaze shifts to the deep shadows. A massive predator is watching them from the gloom. Its killing intent is cold and overwhelming. It's too far for a normal human to see. "Old man, can you handle the mining alone? I'm going to go solo this boss myself." Rook stands frozen, unable to stop the legend. He surged forward with terrifying speed. Was this truly the power of a mere healer? This was the moment. the ultimate test of Heesun's growth after his hellish training. Under Master Jin Huan, he mastered the basics in months, a feat requiring others 10 years. Time for martial mastery. Facing the 3-star Grey Wolf, Heesun stepped forth alone. Abandoning his poisons, he engaged in a brawl, only to be brutally knocked out. Round 2. He vowed to dominate, yet the beast's fist met his face again. Thrown like a rag doll, Heesun tasted the bitter dust of a humiliating defeat. Was solo combat a mistake? The gap in their raw power felt like a canyon. The wolf moved like a storm. Overcoming this wall seemed impossible through normal means. The secret was the afterimage, a legendary technique unique to the monster, Jin Huan. Heesun achieved a decade's progress in months, pushing his physical limits beyond human bounds. Speed, reflexes, and balance were peak, yet the phantom illusion remained just out of reach. Created by a demon of martial arts, this style was designed to defy logic itself. Talent is merely the entry fee. Once again, Heesun was slammed into the dirt. What was missing? Afterimage wasn't just speed, it was the ultimate deception of reality. A dance between truth and illusion. Could he master it without relying on spiritual energy? As a poison master, he controlled aura naturally. Was that the key to his awakening? The message from the harpy's soul. Its hidden meaning finally echoed in his mind. It wasn't a fluke, it was the catalyst. Sun felt his aura explode outward. He grasped the essence. Yet the gap between reality and shadow remained wide. A copy is just a copy. The boss roared, charging with intent to kill. The wolf struck with lethal force, but it only pierced a fading phantom. Success! Heesun finally manifested the afterimage. The secret lay in the perfect, fluid defensive stance. Balance and momentum converged into one point, turning the enemy's strength into their own ruin. The harder the wolf struck, the deadlier the counter. Heesun redirected the crushing impact. The beast impaled itself on its own fury. Even Ryu-seung watched in absolute shock. Their first raid was a flawless victory. Heesun smiled, having touched the divine path. The two-man guild pressed on, diving deeper into the abyss of the treacherous dungeons. High-rank permits flooded in like a landslide. Their destiny was shifting at lightning speed. Chief Judge Pihyuk was pulling strings. Was he a guardian or a hidden viper? He's helping, but I must stay sharp. He's no mere official, Heesun realized. Ryu-seung noticed Pori's panicked cries. A monster was lurking, ready to tear them apart. Ryu-seung nearly ended the creature. Heesun wondered, "Why do you live this dangerous life?" "I'm an unknown hunter," Ryu-seung replied. "Fame is a burden I don't need. A B-rank expert obsessed with poison?" He was clearly hunting for something legendary. The truth was heartbreaking. Ryu-seung sought the golden sunflower, the miracle cure for all. For his beautiful, dying wife, he'd brave any hell. But he had failed her. The flower only blooms in 7-star nightmares. To reach it, one must become a god. He needed power beyond kings. Suddenly, Heesun held out a shimmering, bronze petal. A bronze sunflower from this dungeon. It was real. The legend was finally within reach. Ryu-seung collapsed in tears. Years of agony finally turned into a spark of hope. "We'll find the golden one together," Heesun promised. A new brotherhood was forged. Many hunters despised the Glory Association's pride. Their CEO, Gunny, was used to defiance. Last year, 3 A-rank monsters emerged. Glory expected 1, while Bishop claimed 2. But these new legends had their own plans. The era of the war god began. The Glory Guild's secret deals remain hidden, but their corrupt influence is spreading fast. Tensions between Glory and the Bishop Guild have soured as alliances crumble into dust. Honor and promises are worthless compared to the absolute power of Glory's bottomless wealth. In this capitalist hell, the Glory Guild stands as a monument to ruthless, greed-driven authority. Even Heesun's motives for joining this den of vipers remain a complete mystery. Meanwhile, Maria keeps pestering him, her eyes tracing his every move with strange intensity. Is this a romantic pursuit, or a trap? Suddenly, Heesun's gaze turns terrifyingly cold. "Stop the games, Maria," he growls. "Tell me the real reason you're here." She drops the act, revealing that the legendary Tiger King has finally broken its chains. Heesun smirks. That fat cat was actually a mythical beast of God. Tier proportions. Maria didn't come to accuse him, she's mesmerized by his divine, soul-stirring healing abilities. She realizes his power is on a different level. transcending anything she can ever achieve. Hisan remains silent, pointing at a lonely boy playing in the sand nearby. Glory abandoned his mother to die, he whispers, his voice dripping with cold fury. No amount of blood money can ever heal the void Glory's greed left behind. Elsewhere, Rook seethes as Glory's media puppets begin smearing Hisan's honorable name. If they want glory, Rook snarls, they can rot in the depths of hell. He begins his digital assault, a dangerous shadow preparing to burn their empire down. Maria is drowning in despair, her soul bleeding for those she failed to save. Her saintess facade shatters as Hisan suddenly grabs her trembling, cold hand. He sees the broken girl hiding behind the mask, bleeding from her own self-judgment. Terrified of his insight, Maria flees into the night like a hunted, wounded animal. At Glory HQ, Dr. Ju unveils a dark miracle, the Forbidden Poppy Venom Project. This illegal toxin is their ticket to a new era of absolute, unchallenged domination. The risks are irrelevant, they boast. The power boost is worth any human cost. Using poison to heal? It's a forbidden art that would horrify the entire world. For these monsters, human lives are just fuel for their ascension to godlike power. They won't risk Maria instead. They'll use John as a disposable, pathetic lab rat. They lie to the association, claiming this experiment will evolve Yu's strength to legendary levels. We'll be heroes, Jan sneers, once we conquer every poison dungeon for ourselves. President Gunn agrees, ordering a total monopoly on every dungeon in the region immediately. Suddenly, Rook's access is revoked. The district committee has sold its soul to Glory. Glory's shadow looms everywhere, choking out their path forward with dirty, corrupt politics. Don't panic, Hisan says coolly. He makes a single call to Pio. With one word from Pio, the barriers vanish, and their requests are granted instantly. Rook is stunned by the efficiency as they gear up for the coming hunt. Hisan's training with Joho has borne fruit. He is now a blur of death. Even with his lungs burning, Hisan refuses to yield to the old master. Joho is staggered. This weakling has evolved into a monster of pure combat instinct. Today, Hisan is determined to land a single, decisive strike on the legend. A thunderous boom echoes. Dust explodes as their powers collide with world-shaking force. So close! Joho barely parries the blow, his eyes wide with a flicker of fear. I have nothing left to teach, Joho admits. The afterimage technique is yours. Hisan's talent is a dormant volcano, ready to bury his enemies in ash. Hisan bows deeply, the humble student now standing as an invincible war god. Once a master, always a father. Hisan would never forget this debt. Despite the old man's stubborn pride, he finally accepted him as a true disciple. Their training together was grueling yet joyful. Meanwhile, the traitorous John was suffering through hellish poppy toxin experiments. The agony was unbearable, but he endured it all for the promise of absolute power. Yet, the madness became too much. I cannot continue this insanity. He trembled, consumed by pure terror and regret. Even the twisted Dr. 𝑳𝒐𝒓 was nothing more than a shadow compared to the legendary Dr. Jean. Consumed by envy, 𝑳𝒐𝒓 sent waves of assassins to hunt him down. The madman even executed his own assistant in cold blood. After poisoning Joan, his obsession turned toward Hisan. Truly, how could those born as natural geniuses ever understand the burning resentment of the weak? While the shadows plotted, Hisan and Rook prepared to descend into the abyss. This time, Bisu joined the raid. Amidst their heated skepticism about the dungeon's location, the air suddenly distorted. The gate manifested exactly as Yacha predicted. Bisu quickly explained that the one behind this intel was none other than Representative Ju. His company proposed a high-stakes partnership involving secrets about the existence of the poisonous labyrinth. We are here to confirm the truth. However, Hisan declared he would clear this dungeon entirely on his own. Wait outside and rest, he commanded. A much greater challenge awaited them tomorrow, a terrifying Rank 7 dungeon descent. Meanwhile, the Glory Guild discovered Rook's secret operations. They would not sit idly by while others claimed the riches. The next day, Hisan's squad entered the Rank 7 zone. Inside, a suffocating aura and monstrous giants awaited their arrival. Colossal beasts ruled the gloom, yet Hisan felt strangely revitalized. Suddenly, a monster lunged forward with a jagged spear. With a flash of his blade, the beast was silenced. A system notification chimed his ether increased by 34 points. These creatures were faster and deadlier than usual. Being surrounded by such a massive swarm would spell certain death. Fortunately, their speed was a joke compared to his divine step. He-san handled the onslaught while his companions watched in awe. They yearned to help, but stepping forward now would only make them a burden to the invincible war god in making. He-san summoned a massive greatsword to crush the giants. He noted their destructive power was immense, yet they lacked coordination. Exploiting their stupidity, he switched to dual blades. Moving like a phantom, he danced through the battlefield with lethal grace. Using afterimages to deceive them, the monsters fell like wheat. Suddenly, a mystical resonance pulled at his very soul. He sensed it, the legendary golden sunflower. Despite the vastness of the mountain, his instincts guided him to the exact location. There it was, a mythical flower of breathtaking beauty. Its petals weren't golden, but transparent and glowing with celestial light. But such a treasure is never unguarded. The dungeon boss emerged. The earth trembled as a massive stone entity targeted him. A giant boulder hurtled toward him. He-san reacted with lightning reflexes, narrowly avoiding a crushing blow from the mountain guardian. This behemoth was terrifying. An 8-star difficulty monster with S-rank combat power. This was no ordinary dungeon crawler. He-san immediately triggered his system scan. Physical attacks were useless. Its hide was forged from pure, indestructible brainium. It was the hardest material ever discovered. Suddenly, the boss unleashed its special skill. A shockwave that threatened to shatter reality. A deafening roar erupted as the area was pulverized. He-san only survived thanks to his monstrously high regeneration rate. Death was inches away. The boss used its own body parts as projectiles, regenerating them instantly in a cycle of destruction. "I'll have to get close," he gritted his teeth. Summoning his dual blades, it was time for a life-and-death struggle. Let's see who breaks first. He-san charged head-on without a shred of hesitation. Rook watched in absolute disbelief. Even as a veteran knight, Rook could tell this boss was on a different level. Does he still have an ace? He-san pushed his speed to the limit, striking the boss's head. But the damage vanished as quickly as it appeared. Its regeneration was too fast. He needed to pierce the armor with White Dream, but the timing was nearly impossible. If only he had support. But his teammates were helpless. To make matters worse, his own aura was beginning to fracture. After a desperate struggle, he finally shattered the beast's shield. Now, he had to activate Phantom Flare immediately, but the shield regenerated in a blink. With his energy nearly depleted, he only had 2 chances left to survive. In a moment of distraction, the boss's massive fist sent him flying. Now, he was down to his final breath. His weapons were shattered. The boss prepared its ultimate, world-ending strike. "Is this where I die?" he thought, facing doom. Just as the killing blow descended, a massive log struck him aside. Rook had thrown it, barely saving He-san's life. This monster was simply too powerful. As death loomed, guild leader Rook hurled a massive timber to knock him away. Saved by a hair's breadth. Escaping that devastating attack, He-san's eyes burned with a new, dangerous resolve. The guild leader joins the fray. Together, they face the ultimate terror as he hands the broken blade to his aide. Though shattered, the blade still hums with dark ether. Suddenly, the boss unleashes a devastating cannon blast at his feet. A massive explosion rocks the dungeon. The guild leader emerges battered but unbroken, shielded by Bisu's mysterious intervention. Bisu's latent mental prowess awakens. A divine rainbow aura envelops them, a power even she doesn't fully comprehend. The miracle triggers. He-san will pave the way, while the guild leader delivers the final, soul-piercing strike. The boss erupts in a frenzy of stone rain, but their enhanced speed allows them to dance through the chaos. Empowered by Bisu's divine buff, they charge headlong into the storm, ignoring the monster's desperate, futile barrages. Time is running out as Bisu collapses. He-san knows he must end this nightmare before her strength completely fades. With godlike speed, He-san blurs past the defenses. He shatters every obstacle standing between them and certain victory. Duke steps up with legendary resolve. Channeling his inner war god, he strikes with the weight of 1,000 mountains. The monster's shield shatters like glass. He-san's final blow pierces the core, ending the beast's reign of terror. The S-rank boss falls. Bisu faints from the strain, but he quickly stabilizes her with his overwhelming healing aura. He delivers a final insult. A single drop of his poisonous blood. Even an S-rank beast rots instantly before his might. They race out to save the golden sunflower. Meanwhile, Duke's wife remains trapped in a silent, vegetative nightmare. She blames herself for being a burden since that tragic day, unaware that her destiny is about to change. A miracle unfolds. The golden sunflower's divine essence takes hold, defying all logic and medical science. She wakes. Duke's long years of suffering end in a tearful embrace as he regains his beloved wife. Elsewhere, 𝒑𝒑𝒔𝒉 stands at a memorial. 𝒑𝒑𝒔𝒉 approaches her cold father, expecting the worst from the man she knew. Surprisingly, 𝒑𝒑𝒔𝒉 uses a sacred petal to heal her scars. He grants her freedom, severing their toxic family ties. 𝒑𝒑𝒉 weeps in shock as her chains break. She can't fathom why the man who despised her finally showed mercy. The world's strongest has returned. Kiri, the legendary savior of our hero, sets foot on Korean soil once more. But darkness looms as a monstrosity escapes the Glory Guild's lab. Could this be the return of the dreaded John? Season 1 concludes with a chilling cliffhanger. What fate awaits our war god? Thank you for following this journey. If you enjoyed this epic recap, don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.